Welcome back, everybody, to AFL Advance for week number 7. This is going to be an abbreviated version of AFL Advance, as this is Sunday morning as I am recording this. We were going to record it last night. I was going to go on with Justin and Magic. Justin ended up having a conflicting game scheduled in another league. Magic ended up falling asleep, and then RVD hopped in, and he was going to come on after his game with Bo, but then I fell asleep before that game ended. So just a lot went wrong with our sleep schedules and trying to get schedules together. I did want to get this out, though, for week 7, but I, like many of you, am spending Sunday morning trying to finalize my DraftKings lineups and my fantasy lineups and looking at injury reports, so I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on a episode of AFL Advance, but I did want to get a preview video out there to keep this rolling. So let's quickly take a look at some of the intriguing matchups in week 7. On Thursday Night Football, Jameis Winston will make his Chiefs debut as the 3-3 Chiefs. Started off 3-0, now they're 3-3, lost to the Steelers last week in flip. They traveled to Oakland, and the Raiders got their first win of the season last week. The Raiders are now 1-5. I think the Raiders get to 2-5 in this week. I don't like what I'm seeing from the Chiefs. I do think Winston could provide a spark to that offense, but right now Chiefs are falling 0-3 in their last 3 games, lost to flip Steelers last week. I just can't pick the Chiefs with any kind of confidence. This is a flip of the coin game, but give me the Raiders. Nino's Buffalo Bills are 5-0, and they welcome in JD and the all-of-a-sudden surging Tampa Bay Bucks. The Bucks started off 1-3, won their last 2 games, including a blowout victory over the Cardinals in Week 6. I think it stops there, though. The Bills and Nino are just playing too well at this point. I think the Bills get to 6-0. This is going to be a close game, but I think the Bills get the victory. My Chicago Bears will play their last game without Mitch Trubisky. A.J. McCarron, in his 3rd of his 3 starts, will host Rod's Panthers, who are 3-3, got the force win last week against Emo's Eagles. My team has to continue doing what I've been doing without Trubisky, protect the football, rely on Keith Marshall, who's been a beast, and play defense. Hopefully I can get it done this week. Care Bears Cleveland Browns got blown out by Stokes' Texans last week, and they have another tall task this week as MVP's Titans come to town. The Titans are 5-1, the Browns are 4-2. I don't think it gets any better for the Browns this week. They had started strong this season, but back-to-back against Stokes and MVP, that's a tall task for anybody. I think it's another blowout. Give me the Titans in Cleveland. The Green Bay Packers will be playing their first game with their new shiny toy. John Ross will make his Packers debut for the 5-1 Packers as they host the New Orleans Saints. And Justin, Ross was acquired by sending away guys like Devontae Adams, Kevin King, and another defensive back. The Packers are playing very well. They did drop that game to the Cowboys in a blowout fashion in Week 5, recovered nicely last week by shutting out the Vikings in Week 6. I just can't pick Justin with any confidence in this week. He had that comeback victory over the Vikings Week 1 and has since dropped 4 straight. I'm going to take the Packers in Lambeau Field with John Ross. Magic's Colts will take on Livingston's Jaguars this week in a matchup of the quote-unquote other teams in the AFC South. Look, we all know what has to happen for either of these teams to have a chance to make the playoffs. They have to win their games outside of their Stokes MVP games. For the most part, Livingston's had more success than that. He did drop a game last week against the Rams. Magic has not had any success there at all. After winning Week 1 against those same Rams that Livingston's lost to, Magic has dropped 5 in a row. The thing is, all 5 of those games, he had the ball late with a chance to win or tie, including last week against MVP's Titans. He's just not finding a way to get over the hump. I think Magic gets over the hump this week. I think the Colts get their 2nd win of the season. I like what I'm seeing out of his passing game, and I think the Colts will get to 2-5 with a victory over the Jaguars and knock the Jaguars down below 500. Joker's Rams at 2-4. Very disappointing loss last week to T-Mag Seahawks. Talked about how that was like a playoff atmosphere in LA, and it was, in my opinion. Joker has now more losses than I think he can recover from. Still plenty of season left, but he needs to almost have a playoff mentality going forward, and he welcomes Reese's Cardinals to town. The Cardinals are 3-3 after getting blown out last week against JD's Bucks. I don't know what to think about Reese here because I've only seen him play 1 game post-patch, and that was against Emo, and that's kind of a game that you can't put a lot of stock into. So for now, I'm going to pick the Rams until I see if the game against JD was JD just playing great defense or Reese struggling to adjust to the patch. I'm going to pick the Rams, but I think this is a flip of the coin game, and I'm excited to see what happens. A rematch from earlier in the year. Swag's New York Jets traveled to Miami to take on Prime's Dolphins. Dolphins are recovering from that blowout loss last week to Costa's Falcons. I think the Dolphins get back on the winning trail this week, and they blew out the Jets 38-20 a couple weeks back. The Jets are a little bit different looking team since then. They're still losing close games. I expect them to lose another close game this week. Give me the Dolphins to improve to 4-3 and the Jets to fall to 2-5. In a battle of the purple jerseys, Mustangs, Minnesota Vikings, the new look Minnesota Vikings. They got Des Bryant last week. After their game last week, they acquired Tyler Eifert. Their wide receiver core includes Alshon Jeffrey, Des Bryant, Tavon Austin, Tyler Eifert, not to mention the 1-2 punch at running back with Cook and Latavius Murray. I think that's enough to get a victory over the Ravens. They were my opponent last week. The only score they got was on defense. I didn't see enough out of his offense to think he can put up enough points in this game, and I think staying with all of those weapons will find a way to win this game. Flip's Steelers, who have now won 2 out of their last 3 games, will have Patrick Mahomes making his Steelers debut against SJR's Bengals, who will now be playing without Tyler Eifert, without John Ross. They will have Devontae Adams. They will have a new look secondary. I like what I'm seeing out of the Steelers in their last couple of weeks, but I think SJR is going to find a way to get this win. I don't think he's as bad as his current record of 1 win, and I'm looking for his loss total 4 losses. I think SJR finds a way. I think SJR right now is still a pretty good player that's just had some hard luck. I think it turns this week and the Bengals find a way to win in Pittsburgh. Danny's San Francisco 49ers 5-0. We don't know what they're going to do against their game against Bailey and the Skins this week in week 6. But they'll either be 6-0 or 5-1, and I think they're going to keep it rolling against the Cowboys. The Cowboys did acquire Anthony Barr and Martavis Bryant this past week. It's not going to matter, though. The Cowboys have been up and down, more down than up, and the 49ers have been playing as well as anybody. Give me Danny over the Cowboys. RVD's Chargers 1-5 after losing to Bo's Raiders last week in what I think was a bit of a head scratcher. The Raiders had struggled to move the ball on anybody. Bo was throwing interceptions at a record pace, and to me RVD had control of that game, and then he just kept Bo in it by throwing interceptions of his own, and then you keep somebody in it long enough, they have a chance to win, and that's what happened. This is a rematch of week 1. The Broncos are 3-2. They got blown out last week against E-Dub's Giants. I think the Broncos will win this rematch. They won 27-14 week 1, which really did start the downward spiral of the Chargers. And after what I saw last week against the Raiders, I just can't pick RVD with a lot of confidence right now. I hope he can find a way to turn it around, but I'm taking A-Bomb and the Broncos. The team that blew out A-Bomb last week, E-Dub, and the Giants are 5-1, and they welcome in the 2-3 Seattle Seahawks. Pick has had a very interesting season with the Seahawks. He's 2-3, but he's lost a lot of close games, and recently he's won a couple close games. He won a close game against Magic and won a big game against against Joker's Rams last week. I think the Seahawks will find a way to keep this game close. I wouldn't be overly surprised if they won this game against the Giants. I know E-Dub is not a guy that T-Mag is intimidated by, but I do think the Giants will find a way to win this game late. Give me the Giants in a close one that I think will be one of the underrated games of the week. On Sunday Night Football, Hitman's Patriots are 1-4. They had a forced loss last week, and they welcome in the 3-2 Atlanta Falcons and Costa. Tevin Coleman has been tearing up the league. He ran for 200 yards plus again last week against the Miami Dolphins in a blowout victory there. They take their show to New England this week. I think the Falcons keep it rolling against the Patriots. And then on Monday Night Football, not a lot of analysis needed here. Bailey's Skins will either be 5-0 or 4-1, and they're going to go take on the hapless Philadelphia Eagles and Emo. If this game gets played, give me Bailey's Skins in a blowout. If it doesn't, give me Bailey's Skins in a forced win. And that is a look at week number 7, and we will see you next time on AFL Advance.